Have you ever noticed how the foods we once thought were harmless or even healthy can suddenly become a problem as we grow older? I remember back in my younger years, I could sit down to a big plate of anything without giving it much thought. A little extra salt here, a fried snack there, and I never worried. But as the years add up, our bodies begin speaking to us in ways we can't ignore. And one of the biggest fears many of us carry, especially after 60, is the risk of a stroke. Now, strokes don't just happen out of the blue. In many cases, our daily choices, what we eat, how we move, how much rest we get, play a much bigger role than we realize. And here's the surprising truth. Even vegetables, those foods we often label as always healthy, can sometimes be working against us if we're not paying attention. Imagine that. You've been eating something you thought was protecting your heart, but it could actually be making the danger greater. That's what I want us to explore together today. The good news is, this isn't about scaring you away from food. It's about shining a light on the hidden corners, giving you the knowledge to make better choices, and helping you stay strong, steady, and full of energy for the years ahead. Because every meal you eat is another chance to either help your body or stress it. And when it comes to stroke risk, the foods we choose, yes, even vegetables, can tip the balance overnight. So let's talk about the first one that often surprises people: canned vegetables. On the surface, they sound fine. After all, vegetables are vegetables, right? But here's the catch. Most canned vegetables are loaded with salt to keep them preserved and tasting fresh for months, sometimes even years. And salt, especially in higher amounts, can raise your blood pressure faster than you realize. Think about it. You sit down to a dinner of green beans, corn, or peas straight from a can, and without noticing, you may be taking in more sodium than your body can handle in a single day. High blood pressure is one of the biggest triggers for stroke, and what feels like a harmless side dish could be quietly raising your risk. The solution isn't to give up on vegetables. It's simply to pay attention. If canned is your only option, look for labels that say low sodium, or better yet, drain and rinse them before eating. You'll cut down a lot of that hidden salt without losing the convenience. The second vegetable that can be tricky is pickled vegetables. I know for many of us, pickled cucumbers, cabbage, or peppers bring back memories of family meals or traditional dishes we grew up with. They taste tangy, they add a crunch, and they seem innocent enough. But just like canned vegetables, the pickling process often means heavy amounts of salt and sometimes added sugars too. That double hit, sodium and sugar, can be tough on your blood vessels, raising blood pressure and making the arteries stiffer over time. When arteries lose their flexibility, blood flow slows, clots form more easily, and suddenly the risk of a stroke climbs higher than you might expect. Now, I'm not saying you can never enjoy a pickle again. Life is about balance, but enjoying them in moderation, treating them as an occasional treat rather than a daily staple, can make a huge difference in protecting your brain and heart. And then there are fried vegetables. This one might catch some people by surprise, but it's something I've seen often. We tell ourselves we're eating vegetables, so it must be healthy. But once those vegetables are dipped in batter or oil and fried, the picture changes completely. Take something like fried zucchini, onion rings, or even sweet potato fries. They may taste delicious and even carry the illusion of being good for you because, well, it's a vegetable underneath. But frying loads those veggies with unhealthy fats and calories that clog arteries and inflame the body. And inflammation, over time, weakens the blood vessels and sets the stage for clotting, another big contributor to stroke. It's not just about weight gain or cholesterol. It's about the strain fried foods put on the delicate systems that keep blood flowing freely to the brain. A baked or grilled version gives you the same comfort without the heavy cost. What's important to remember is that we don't have to give up on enjoying food. Food is one of life's greatest joys, especially as we gather with family and friends. But being aware, knowing where the risks hide, gives us the power to keep enjoying those moments without paying the price later. And when you take even a few small steps to adjust, like rinsing canned vegetables, cutting back on pickles, or swapping out fried sides for roasted ones, you're not just avoiding danger. You're actively choosing life, energy, and more years to share with the people you love. And that's why paying attention to these everyday foods matters so much. Because the truth is, it's often the things we overlook, the ones sitting quietly on our plate, that can cause the biggest surprises when it comes to our health. When it comes to our health, it's rarely the big, obvious choices that sneak up on us. It's the little habits we carry from day to day. That's why vegetables, which are supposed to be the heroes of a healthy diet, sometimes turn into unexpected troublemakers. They wear the mask of being good for you. And in many ways they are. But how they're prepared or how often we eat them can change everything. One that I think doesn't get talked about enough is potatoes, specifically the way we often eat them. Potatoes by themselves are a natural food, grown straight from the ground, and there's nothing wrong with enjoying them in moderation. The problem is that many of us rely on them heavily and not in their most natural form. Mashed potatoes dripping with butter and cream, baked potatoes piled high with salt, or worse, the processed forms like chips and fries. Potatoes are high in starch, which quickly turns into sugar in the body. That spike in blood sugar can stress the blood vessels and increase insulin resistance over time, which is closely linked to stroke risk. On top of that, when you add the extra fats, salt, and toppings, the potato goes from a simple vegetable to a dish that can weigh heavily on the heart and brain. If you still enjoy potatoes, and let's be honest, they are comfort food for many of us, try roasting them lightly with herbs or enjoying smaller portions. It's not about losing the foods we love. It's about reshaping them so they love us back. Another one to keep an eye on is beets. Now this one may surprise you, because beets are often praised for their nutrients, their fiber, and even their ability to support blood flow. And that's true. They can be very good for us. But the key lies in how they're eaten and who's eating them. For people with naturally low blood pressure, beets can sometimes be a blessing. But for those who already struggle with high blood pressure or who are on certain medications, beets can lower blood pressure too suddenly or interact with those medicines in ways that aren't always safe. And let's not forget, many of the beets we find in jars or cans are preserved with extra salt and sugar, which flips their benefits upside down. So while beets can be a colorful and nourishing choice, it's worth being mindful, especially if you're already monitoring blood pressure or taking medication for your heart. It's a reminder that even something that looks purely healthy can carry a hidden side. Then there are frozen vegetables that come with sauces or seasonings already added. I know they're convenient. You pop them in the microwave, and dinner is ready in minutes. But here's the challenge. Many of those sauces are loaded with sodium, saturated fats, or even hidden sugars. Think about a bag of frozen broccoli with a cheese sauce or mixed vegetables in a butter glaze. It feels like you're eating something wholesome, but in reality, the sauces often outweigh the goodness of the vegetables themselves. Over time, those extra ingredients can harden arteries, raise cholesterol, and push blood pressure higher, all of which create a perfect storm for stroke risk. A better option is to buy plain frozen vegetables and season them yourself with olive oil, garlic, or fresh herbs. That way, you keep all the convenience but leave out the dangers. I know this can sound like a lot to take in, but here's the beauty of it. Once you see the patterns, it becomes easier to make choices that support your health rather than harm it. You don't have to give up flavor or tradition. You just need to take the power back into your own hands. For every canned or pickled vegetable, there's a fresh or frozen option without the additives. For every fried dish, there's a roasted or grilled version that's just as satisfying. And for every overly processed option, there's a simple way to enjoy the real thing in its natural state. Food, after all, is about more than filling our stomachs. It's about memories, about culture, about sharing a table with the people we love. But it's also about giving our bodies the strength to keep showing up for those moments. Whether it's a grandchild's birthday, a holiday dinner, or simply another morning waking up to the sunshine. By being mindful about what's really on our plate, we're not just lowering the risk of stroke. We're saying yes to more of those moments that make life rich. And that's the perspective I want you to carry as we move forward. Awareness is power. The foods we choose today shape the health we carry tomorrow, and even the smallest adjustments can ripple into years of stronger living. The more we look closely at our plates, the more we realize that staying healthy isn't about fear. It's about awareness and small, consistent choices. And the truth is, even the vegetables we trust the most can sometimes carry risks when we're not paying attention. The goal here isn't to take joy away from eating, but to shine a light on those hidden details so that we can live stronger, healthier, and with more peace of mind. One last vegetable that deserves mention is spinach, and I can almost hear some of you saying, "Wait a minute, isn't spinach supposed to be one of the healthiest foods around?" And yes, spinach is packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that the body needs. But for people who are on blood-thinning medications, spinach can actually interfere with how those medications work because it contains high levels of vitamin K. That means if you're on something like warfarin, eating too much spinach or other leafy greens like kale can reduce the effectiveness of your medicine, which could increase the risk of blood clots forming. And clots are a major cause of strokes. The key isn't to cut spinach out completely, but to keep it consistent. If you eat a certain amount regularly, your doctor can balance your medication around it. The problem comes when intake goes up and down dramatically. It's a perfect example of how even the healthiest foods need balance and attention, especially as we get older and our bodies respond differently. So what do we do with all this information? We use it as a guide, not a rule book carved in stone. Because food is more than nutrition. It's part of how we connect with each other and with our own memories. The answer isn't to stop eating canned vegetables, or to never touch a potato again, or to throw away that jar of pickles in your fridge. The answer is to eat smartly, to notice the details, and to choose wisely. Sometimes it's as simple as rinsing off canned beans before cooking, choosing baked instead of fried, or checking a label before tossing something in your shopping cart. Those small actions might feel minor in the moment, but they stack up, and they add years of strength and clarity to your life. I want you to think about it this way. Every bite is a decision. Every meal is an opportunity. You're not just feeding your stomach, you're protecting your brain, your heart, and your future. And if there's one thing I hope you take away from this, it's that you have more control over your health than you might realize. Stroke risk doesn't have to feel like a looming shadow. With just a little extra care and attention, you can push that shadow further and further away. And here's something I find inspiring. It's never too late to make a change. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, your body still responds to the choices you make today. You can still lower your risk, still gain more energy, and still create more moments of joy with the people you love. Every single day is another chance to treat your body kindly and give it the care it deserves. So the next time you sit down to eat, pause for a moment. Look at what's on your plate. Ask yourself not just, does this taste good? But also, will this help me stay strong enough to enjoy tomorrow? That simple question can be the difference between foods that drain you and foods that help you thrive. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Have you been surprised to learn that certain vegetables could actually increase your stroke risk? Or maybe you've already made some changes in your diet and felt the difference. Share your experiences in the comments. I always enjoy hearing your stories because they remind us that we're all on this journey together. And if you found this helpful, give this video a like and subscribe so we can keep walking side by side through topics that truly matter to our health and happiness. Share it with a friend or family member who could use this information. Sometimes just a single conversation can make a world of difference. Remember, you're never too old to feel young again. With awareness, with small steps, and with a little extra care, you can keep your mind sharp, your body steady, and your heart full of life. The power is in your hands. Every meal, every choice, every day.